Welcome to The Power and the Pain, where your past isn't your prison.
It's the fuel for your purpose.
I'm Greg Pease, combat veteran, NLP trainer, and your guide to turn trauma into triumph. This is The Power and the Pain. Let's go. Welcome back to The Power and the Pain. Last week we had Corey with us, and Corey, you shared some really deep parts of your story and some parts that I can only assume possibly the heaviest parts of your story. And you left us with a bunch of open loops for other parts and things, experiences you had, things you've been through that I have to assume you are proud of. You spoke about military, medical field, higher education. I want to know a little bit about this part of your journey. Take us to military. What age did you join?
Man, at the ripe old age of 17.
Okay.
Yeah, ripe old age. I had to get the signature.
So take me through, well, let's start here. What was the inception of military? Okay.
All right, let's get to that one. I would like to say that it's a story of patriotism, and I had always thought about it. I saw Rambo one day, and I was like, man, I want to be that dude. But no, none of that. Small town, there was this girl.
And so the story begins.
No shit, there I was.
Right. This sounds like a military story or a veteran story.
It was a girl, man. So, small town, I grew up playing sports, had scholarships to go to several schools between football and soccer. And I'd been dating this girl since I think we were in the 8th grade. High school sweetheart. Small town in the South, so, with my higher melanin count and her lack of was an issue. So we were like, well, we got to find a way to get out of here. I was like, well, I'm going to go to school, so let's just go. She came up with the idea of joining the Army. And so then here we go. Here we go down that path.
Okay.
Following her, thinking that, it was going to be something. And looking back on having conversation with my mom, like the wisdom of my mom, but still allowing me to make a decision and going, Because needless to say, the relationship didn't work out.
Yeah, right.
She ended up getting out of the Army, and I'm in the Army going, I'm in the Army now. You're gone. It's like, I'm in the Army now. So now it's like, okay, cool. We're here. Let's make the best of this.
Yeah.
But yeah, I joined at the age of 17, and it was pretty cool. The whole process. I think that my life would be completely different had I not.
What would you attribute military, what characteristics, traits, or disciplines did you carry forward that you would attribute from the military that are a positive attribute now for your life?
Yeah. I'm going to go with, of course, the leadership part. And the things that I got from the military, it wasn't things that I didn't already possess. It was the things that they tacked onto those things, or the way that they taught me how to use those gifts.
Yeah.
I came into the military, I grew up in sports. I grew up on a farm. Hard work wasn't anything new to me. Waking up early wasn't anything new to me. When I got to basic training, we slept in compared to what I was accustomed to. And we had practices harder than what we were doing in the military. So basic training, I was just like, cool, man, let's just do what you're told and be where you're supposed to be. This is like my childhood.
Yeah. Right. Okay.
That's it. Let's go. So it wasn't anything that was really hard for me. However, the sense of discipline, of the follow through, it increased my integrity like 100-fold. Before the military, I'd be like, I'll go do it, and then not do it. in the military. Yeah, I'll do it. And I don't want to do that. Damn it. I got to do it. I said I was going to do it. You know,
So, yeah.
it's that accountability.
And I think, well, what would you say on, like, I'll suggest, like, we all have the capability, the possibility. I think it was me and you were talking, and I forget what words we had exchanged, but it was around this idea, like through the military, I think everyone has the capability, but we get enough exposures in the military that it then becomes, I'm going to suggest, even an unconscious anchor, but that, like, flipping a switch, like, all right, this has to be done. I don't want to do it. Cool. Let's go do it.
Yes. And I don't understand that out in civvy world and the rest of the world. That is still to this day. I've been out since 2008. To this day, it's still one of the hardest things for me to grasp when dealing with just regular people. I don't want to do it. Great.
Like, hey, what about this one right here?
Yes.
Good. Yeah, the screen for those that you probably, I don't know if you'll be able to see it on screen here, but Jocko Willink, my screensaver, with his little good. Whatever happens, good. Let's go do it.
So for me, it's always, all right, this is going to suck, but I can make it suck for 15 minutes and it's over.
Yeah.
So let's just get it over with.
And there's, say always, I mean, it's hard to even put into words, but this feeling of accomplishment, of empowerment, of, like, I can do so much more now. Like, I thought that was hard and I'm done and I can't actually call it hard on this side anymore.
Yeah. The mentality that you gain from being in the military. Yeah. That's completely different. I didn't have the mentality of there's nothing I can't do prior to being in the military. Since being in the military, I know that if I set my mind to it, there's not a damn thing I can't do. Hey, Brown, run through that cinder block wall.
Yeah.
Roger that. I'm gonna find a way.
I told my wife one time, like, kind of jokingly, but, like, that mindset of, like, you know, in the military, like, if you're leadership, you're next up the chain. If they say, hey, I'll be back in 20 minutes and I need that Humvee on the roof, you're just like, good to go. You have no clue how it's getting done, but you already know that when they get back, this Humvee's going to be on the roof.
You're like, man, who do I know? Okay, I got a buddy who's a crew chief over there. Right. They got Chinook, so let me call him, see what he can do. And you're just going through, like, okay, let's figure this out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
I agree.
Powerful. What, when you signed up, well, how long were you in the Army?
I joined in 1995. Yeah, I shipped out in August.
Put you at 13 years, is that?
Well, I had breaks.
Okay.
I took a break, go to college, came back in, took a break, go back to university, came back in, and then the last break was the official break.
Okay. So when you first signed up, so now we're talking college, which I think I don't even know if I knew or not, but then I got to ask, how did you enlist as enlisted?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then did you become an officer?
Later on.
Okay. All right. Tell us, take us through a little bit, the journey a little bit, what that looks like.
I came in as enlisted. I think I enlisted as an E2. I came in as a private E2.
Okay.
Then.
Now, what job did you sign up for at 17?
I was a medic.
Okay.
Started out as a medic. Loved that job. Growing up as a kid, I always grew up telling my mom I wanted to do one of two jobs, and that was always, I either wanted to be a doctor or I wanted to be a cop. I was like, okay.
Kind of put the two together.
Yeah. I was like, all right, so let's go into the military. So I took the medical field. Okay. That was another interesting story, is like the MEPS experience.
Tell me about it. Yeah. I already laugh because I'm like, yeah, it is an interesting experience.
17, I go to MEPS, and I already knew the job that I wanted. However, needs of the military, in my case, needs of the Army. They come in and they're like, yeah, we got the great job for you. You're going to be, I don't know, maybe it was like a 31 uniform at the time. I can't remember. It was a 31 series. It was commo. Okay. And I was like, I don't even know what that is. What is that job? And they're like, oh man, you're going to be climbing the poles. You're going to be stringing the wires. It's going to be so cool. I'm like, you're retarded. I am not doing that. Oh, so they were like, well, that's all we got. And I was like, okay, great. deuces. And at the time, I didn't even know any naval rank. I knew the Navy. My dad was in the Navy, and I didn't know any rank structure though. And this guy came in there like, "Hey, senior chief," and everyone's bowing down, kissing the ring to this dude, and he comes in just yelling that I'm gonna take this job. I'm going, I don't know you. My dad don't even yell at me like this, bro. I'm not some punk little kid, but no, I'm not, and I'm gonna leave. So I walked out of MEPS. I go to MEPS 2 more times. Same thing happens. Same job. And on the 3rd time, that same senior chief walks in. He's like, just give it to him. So that's how I became a medic. And I enlisted that day. And probably 5-6 months later, I shipped out to basic training. I went to Fort Knox. When I get to Fort Knox, the major question is, what are you doing here? And I'm like, I don't know, man. It's where the paper said. You guys put me on a bus.
Yeah, right.
This is where the bus stopped. It's like, this is home of the armor. We don't understand why. You're a medic. You shouldn't be here. I was like, oh, great. However, once I got to my job training at Fort Sam Houston, I was very appreciative of the fact that I went to an all-male basic training. I was very appreciative that I went to Fort Knox because I looked at these other future medics and their lack of discipline, their lack of military bearing. It was laughable. Like, this is the same Army.
Mm.
And I got there and, we were the guys who came from a combat arms basic training.
Mm-hmm.
Were completely different soldiers than the ones who did not. So Fort Lewis, I was there for a bit. Fort Sam Houston. After Fort Sam Houston, went up to Fort Lewis. I did 4.5 years there. And then I took a break. Started out playing soccer in Washington. Got a phone call from my old high school coach. It's like, what are you doing this summer? It's like, I don't know, probably going to get a job. He's like, why don't you come home? You work out with our guys. And I want you to go to a tryout in Georgia. So I go do that. And then I get a better scholarship offer from Georgia. Call my coach up in Washington, let him know what's going on. He goes, man, I can't match that. And it's dumb for me to say, no, please come back. He goes, you need to take that. And I really respected that. So I took that scholarship and just stayed in Georgia and finished up school there. Did my undergrad in biology. Came back into the Army. I was still in the medical field then.
Did you come back officer or enlisted?
No, not yet.
Okay.
Yeah, I was still enlisted. I was at E5 then. Yeah, I came back at my old rank. Decided that I was tired of carrying all of the weight when we'd go out and do some training because I've got my combat load and I've got my medical kit. And that's heavy. It's heavy. And I was like, I'm done with this. I'm going to make this secondary MOS of mine my primary MOS. And I changed over from medical to infantry. And I thought it was great. And mostly I thought it was funny. And I stayed in the same unit. Everyone still was referring to me as Doc. Everyone still wanted me to come and help them out. But I just didn't have to carry the load anymore. And so we get a new kid in who's carrying the load. And someone yell out, hey, Doc. And he'd be like, yeah, what's up? I'm on my way. And they're like, sit down, you. And then I would just yell for the supplies. And so that was great. Worked out wonderfully. Then I decided I wanted to step up, and I got back out and went to school again. This time I am back in Georgia State University, sitting in organic chemistry class. This class, I don't know. It's hard. It is so hard. So hard. And then you factor in the fact that the professor was, I don't know. I can't remember where he was from, but somewhere out of Africa, and his accent was
It's thick.
on 11D.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to focus because I'm struggling in this class. What? This conversation is still going on behind me, and I'm like, "Excuse me, ladies, if you don't mind, could we just?" I mean, I love your conversation. I want to know more about what you're talking about, but I got to focus because I can't flunk, and I'm on the verge, and I'm trying to understand this dude. They were respectful. After class, we all started talking. They were telling me about a program out of Cuba, a free medical program where you can go in, they'll educate you, send you back to the States, and all that they ask is that you just go back and serve in an underprivileged area.
Okay. Do you know like who was the person that was leading that? Do you know? Or not sure. Like
Wait.
who was the professor that when you went to did you go do that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I'm sorry. I'm getting excited here because I'm wondering if this relates to something. Keep telling your story. Forgive me.
No worries. So we have this conversation. It's a break. I'm chilling at home. There's a couple interview processes or a couple interviews that go on in New York. I have a cousin that lives in New York, so I was like, man, I'll just go hang out with him and do all this stuff. So go through all the interviews, and everything worked out great. Got accepted. Come back home for a bit. Go back to New York. We all fly out. At this time, it was illegal to fly directly to Cuba.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we had to make it stop and then get on a different plane and get into Cuba. It was a great experience. Absolutely wonderful experience. The education and how they have it set up is instead of waiting to year 3 to start seeing and dealing with patients, they start from the jump. You get to school, you get through a semester, and then the second semester they send you out on the island and you stay with a doctor. And the way that they have it is the doctor has a practice downstairs, he lives upstairs. If you don't show up for your appointment, he packs up his bag, beats feet, knocks on your door to make sure everything's okay. Everything is holistic from the beginning and only pharmaceutical when necessary, which was the downfall of my medical career in the United States because our system is completely opposite. It's pharmaceutical first, and it's like, get them through, get them through. Where there, it's focused on the patient. We've got plenty of time. We're taught to take as much time as we need in order to get the information to make the best possible decision for them. Where here it is, you got 2.2 minutes per patient. And that was the downfall after getting out of the military and setting up in the civilian world.
So how long was the program in Cuba?
It was, the official program is 6 years. However, depending on where you are educationally, you can tick that up. And where you are proficiency with your Spanish, you can tick that up.
Okay.
So you go there, and just like when you get to college or university here, you do an assessment. And then they place you according to that assessment.
Okay. And then when you came back, well, how long did you stay, actually?
4 years.
And like, at 4 years, you have your credentials through there. Okay. And then, so once you have your credentials, you come back to America. And then what happens next?
You got to go through all the testing processes, your steps, and you got to match at a hospital to start your internship. The one that really got me was, since I learned in Spanish, they had to ensure that I spoke English. So there was this TOEFL exam. And the lady is telling me about this exam, and I'm going, remember a time where I came home during Christmas and my mom woke me up in the middle of the night and she was talking to me and I was responding. And she just had this puzzled look. So I say it again. She still has this puzzled look. I say it again. And she goes, "Baby, I don't speak Spanish." So I thought maybe we were having one of those moments again. So I asked her, I said, "Are we speaking English right now?" She goes, "Yeah." So if we can, why wouldn't? But you learned that stuff. We want to make sure you can do that stuff in English. It's like, well, most of those words are Latin. Okay, but yeah, let's do this. How much
Yeah.
is it again? Oh, $700. Yeah, that sounds about right. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's just you go through all that, and then once you do that, it's just a regular process.
But so did you stay? How long were you? Like, when did you get back in military from there? And then what does that look like?
I got back immediately into the military.
Okay.
So I wanted to decide if I wanted to stay civilian, if I wanted to go back into the military. So I decided to go back into the military. From there, I did 2.5 years,
And it was at that time you go officer?
2.5 years, and things were changing a lot. And it was no longer. I joined the Be All You Can Be Army. At this time, we've gone through the Be All You Can Be Army, the Army of One, and then I don't even know what it was then. But it was not the Army that I had joined. It was much softer. And not that it was hard or more brutal when I got in. Like, no one hit me. But I thought I was going to die from doing PT so much, or they definitely yelled. And just, yeah, it was a different military. When I had a guy come up to me and I had heard rumors about stress cards, I didn't think they were real. I thought it was just one of those things. And he was like, "Hey, I can't." And he pulls out this card, and I'm like, "Oh shit, they're real!" Yelling it out, "They're real!" It wasn't the same.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So it was time to go.
Yeah. That's that's a whole deep can of worms conversation around, like, as humans, like we talked last week, like humans, like we need space and things of that nature. But I would, this is just me speaking opinion. When we look at the container of the military, we're looking at creating a warrior force and a warrior. And so I'm on the alignment. Like, if you're not a warrior, it's okay. We need all the people. But in this container, we need warriors.
Yes. I mean, there's multiple jobs throughout the military. I think a common misconception in the civilian world is that, everyone is a warrior. No, someone's got to cook. Someone's got to do the laundry. Someone's got to do the paperwork. There's all facets. So it takes all kind. Just find your home.
Yeah.
But I don't think that being soft in a job that may require you to go down range someday is beneficial at all.
Right. Yeah, no, I'm in agreement. It's like, if, even just talking about the container of the military, in that container, we're deciding to operate at a certain level for something bigger than ourselves.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
Then let's take a 10,000-foot view. I think that we as a nation should have a mandatory service obligation. I think that it would change the state of our country in a generation, if that.
Oh, it would, for sure. Yeah, yeah.
Because you come out different. You grow up there, and you get to experience the world. I know people who have not left the town in which they grew up, and they have that narrow view, and they're stuck in that their entire life. If you are forced to get out of that view and go and work with people who don't look like you and who don't have the same accent as you, you have to grow, and then you have a growing outlook in how you see the world from that aspect, and from the aspect of I can be disciplined, or knowing what discipline is and what integrity is, saying that you're going to do something and following through with it, even though you don't want to. I think for those aspects, for the leadership aspects, we should have everyone, 2 years, go in, do your basic or boot, your job training, 2 years.
Yeah.
And then get out and go fix the world. We as a nation, we have so much more capability than what we're using right now or what we're displaying right now.
Yeah.
And we have a force right now that has experience in really bad situations and can keep a level and cool head. But those aren't the people we're hiring into these big positions that can affect change.
Yeah.
Those are the people who are forced to go out and start their own business, to go out and help people.
Yeah.
Those are the people who bang their head against a broken system for so long that they get tired of it after a while and just go straight recluse. And those are the people who come out and say that the system that we're living in is not the system that I thought I was fighting for, and I can't take this any longer, and decide to go and take it out. If we had that, I feel that the trajectory of our nation would be completely different.
Yeah.
We don't even need a generation. Within 20 years, think of what we could look like if everyone had a sense of purpose, a sense of pride about themselves, that they have the mindset that you and I have, where you tell me to get through that wall, okay, I'm going to find a way. I'm going to get through that wall. And I'm not going to rest until I may take some breaks, but when you come back, it'll be done.
Yeah.
That's what I would love to see for our nation.
What do you think about, well, let me challenge, like, what are your thoughts around the idea of, I'm thinking my words. What are your thoughts around the idea of, like, we need all the different people?
Like the DEI stuff?
No. Just specifically not DEI. Yeah.
I was about to jump onto my soapbox real quick. I was about to be all over.
You're like, I'm ready.
I'm ready. I'm sorry.
Well, that's something we could talk about too. Okay. So in some past episodes, I talked about like Claire Graves, and we may have talked a little bit before, like the idea of like the evolution of like consciousness. I'm just using labels, words. So like in the first level, we're survival, so food, shelter, protection. The second level, we're tribal, so sacrifice for the tribe. Third level, we're warrior, so I'm gonna go conquer. Fourth level, we are systems, rules, hierarchy. Fifth level, we're like entrepreneurial. Sixth level, we're like start getting like spiritual, things like that. Now that's like a very fast flyby, so definitely do your own research on Claire Graves and such. But the idea that like we can look at any, like Claire Graves talks about, like, so like the warrior mindset was absolutely needed, or we would still be little tribes and we would have never expanded, because disease and such would have, as we grew, we would have just done this growth and
like an expansion,
contraction, yes. And then so like we needed people to break away from the tribe and to go conquer other things, which actually created unity. Take, for example, China, the Qin dynasty. So essentially like, these conquerors actually created some form of unity, growth, so on and so forth. But then like if we look at that, so that warrior gets us out of the tribal, but like the far side of it is like, well, I'll just kill whoever I want. So then like we needed the next level, which is like rules, structure, so on and so forth. But that one goes too far and becomes dogmatic. My way is the right way, you're doing it the wrong way. So each one was like, that's how we continue to evolve. And like, what are your thoughts around the idea of like, if we made our nation any one of these, like the sixes that are like ultra peace tree huggers, need the threes to keep them safe. But like if we had all threes, we wouldn't have, then we wouldn't have the sixes, we wouldn't have the fours, we wouldn't have the. What are your thoughts around that?
Make sure I'm clear on what you're asking in regards to a mandatory service obligation.
Yeah. That kind of idea, that discussion in general.
What if we opened it up and took it outside of the military and just made it a service to the nation, where it Peace Corps, Job Corps type things. You come in and volunteer to work at some nonprofit agency for those 2 years, and you're giving back to the community that way.
Dude, that's huge. Because then yeah. I was just curious on your thoughts, but when you just said that, I was like, whoa. What if we did that? But yeah, I was just curious on your thoughts of that, because I'm always like, it's, if I think like, man, why doesn't everyone have this discipline? But if they did, then we wouldn't have the people that were the other side or whatever.
No. I don't, because you can take some of the top tier operators. I mean, they're designing miniature nuclear devices right now, but those are door kickers at one point in time, but they still had that in them to come and do this. Why wouldn't it work the opposite way? What if they just came in and got the base level? You just came in, got basic training, your job training, and you went and did that job for a bit. And that was just all you wanted, but you got this level. You got this level of discipline. You got this level of integrity now. We start get everyone to a base level. Mm-hmm. We do it in health. We want everyone at a base level of health. Mm-hmm. And we know what those are. And we try to give you things to get you to that level. Same. We do it with our cars. Same.
Yeah.
Just get it to that base level of operation, optimal operation, and then let them find their place in the hierarchy, where it's a 3, a 4, a 5, or 6. But all of those positions are still within the military. And if not, we've got them within some government system that someone could go volunteer and get real world life experience. Just get out of this small little bubble and experience what else is out there.
Yeah. Well, and in theory, when we look at those with graves, like if we're to say lucky, if we're lucky enough, like the goal is to ascend through each one. In theory, that's my opinion. So like, for example, like I want to be spiritual happy. I want to get to my 6, but like the idea of like,
I don't see you as a tree
having hugger. I'm not there yet. I'm not, but the idea of, having, what's his name said, think of his name in a second, but he said, I think it's misinterpreted to say that the meek will inherit the earth. He said, I think that was to say that those with swords who choose to sheathe them will inherit the earth. So like the warrior has to learn how to wield the sword, and he has to understand the ability to no longer hesitate. Mm-hmm. And then like he has to get to that place where he can do that thing, right? And no hesitation. Mm-hmm. And then when he has conquered that, and he's like, I'm now a warrior. No. Mm-hmm. Now you have to know when to not. Like now you have to sit there with it sheathed and feel unsafe and be ready to pull it out, but don't even show it. And it's like, the ascension becomes hard in that way, because like, once we conquer all the way in this direction, I have to go to the other side now. Yeah.
The way of the samurai. That's exactly it. It's like, I got to master this weapon. I got to master this art, but I also have to know calligraphy. I also have to know history. Being able to weave in these additional disciplines, going up that hierarchy. Mm-hmm. Same. Mm-hmm. I wish I remember what the book was, but it was this samurai, and he was talking about calligraphy and how learning how to do calligraphy perfect and holding that brush with the perfect pressure changed the way he swung his sword and the way he was able to utilize just the tip of the sword. Mm-hmm. it's just those things. He had to master the calligraphy to get better at this other art. Then he goes to talk about stoicism and then going to master himself and his mind. And then how that made him better in all these other aspects. It's moving up that hierarchy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They had it figured out then.
Yeah.
We just lost it over time. Now we're trying to get back to it.
Yeah. 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 It's powerful. So once you got out of military, how long did you stay in medical field?
2 years.
Okay.
That was it. I could not hack it in the civilian world. I remember having a conversation with my mom. Just, this is where I am. I've been written up because I'm taking too much time so many times, and I'm just tired. I don't think it should run this way, and I don't see a way that I can change it. And my mom gave me the best advice. She tells me, starts with a story. And she goes back to my childhood, and she goes, when you're a kid, I took this job. And I took this job because it gave us what we needed. We had insurance, and I could provide for you. And I've been at this same job. And at year 20, I hated it. But I stayed because I had children, and we needed the security of this job. And then year 30, I hated it. My mom, I think she did 40 some odd years of government service. And the moral of her story is if you're not happy right now, go. Don't sit in this because it's not worth it. Even if you fail over and over and over again, it's still better than sitting in that jail of comfort. And so I made that decision maybe a week later, and I had no clue what I was going to do next. No clue. I had a buddy who had an engineering firm, and he goes, why don't you come work for us? I'm like, dude, I'm not an engineer. I have no idea. Well, that makes no sense to me. Like a plan set made no sense to me. I'm quite sure I could figure it out over time. He goes, yeah, but the math is the same. You've got all the math behind it. I can teach you the rest of it. So I went to work for this consultant firm. We helped out the Department of Transportation. Held down that job, I think it was 9-10 years. Loved that job. It was the closest thing I ever found to being in the military at that time, because it was mostly a group of dudes out on the road, sweating or freezing together, yelling and cussing at one another and having drinks later on. It wasn't uncommon for someone to bust out in a fight, then they work it out, and then we're back to work afterwards. It's just, I really, really enjoyed that environment. And the days would go by so quickly. Sometimes I look back and I started the day 17 hours ago, and I'm still ready to go.
Mm-hmm.
It's just the constant running and the constant change. I would be on one project. I ran the ITS crew, signage. There was someone else. It was 5 separate crews that I was running. So my entire day was hopping back and forth. Where you are, where you need. Okay, don't put that there. Put that here. Then going and getting the GPS survey equipment to shoot it, and then go back at the end of the day to adjust the plan set to go, this is where it started. This is where it is. So at the end of the project, when we're closing everything up, we got the final plan sets, and those are already done. We're not spending 2 months going, oh shit, where did we put that? Okay, let's make some shit up real quick. Not doing that. And I love the detailed aspect of it. I love the camaraderie of it. I love that job. Then left that job, came to Tennessee.
How long have you been in Tennessee?
Actually, I didn't leave that job to come to Tennessee. There was another job in Wisconsin. But I've been in Tennessee since the end of 2012.
Okay.
Pretty sure it was November.
I came here in the end of 12. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. I didn't realize that. And then Once you get in Tennessee, what did that start looking like?
I came in the winter, so all the engineering firms were shut down. I started looking for a job, couldn't find one, sat around for a bit, and finally picked up this job at a call center. Just interviewed as just entry level employee. I was going to be answering phones. I'm in the training, and one of the supervisor pulled me out, and they started asking questions. Just answer the questions. They're like, "Hold on, we'll be right back." So I go and talk to someone else, and that person come and talks to me, and from that, they're like, "Hey, you're not going to do that job. You're actually just going to come and be a supervisor and do this job." Okay. I was like, "Okay, great." So I do that for a few years. Absolutely awful. Absolutely awful. It was like being in middle school again, just dealing with the rumor mills and absolutely awful. Absolutely. After that job ended, kind of where we picked up on our first podcast with Alexi dying, because I came back to quit that job, and I just sat for a bit.
Now you're getting into, well, we talked about a little bit last time. I mean, you've been mentor coaching people for quite some time now, but now you're structuring it into a consulting business.
Yes, I'm so excited, dude. Like, the thing that I love the most is I have this vision of this retreat, and I can see it in my head, and I can see the people that are coming in there, and we're talking with them, and they're processing through whatever it is that they're dealing with, personal, professional, doesn't matter. And they walk out better. They walk out with a smile on their face. You know,
Dude, think about, like, I mean, I know you do in whatever way, but I'm a big, let me get rid of I'm a big advocate of this, as in, get me on my soapbox real quick. I'm not sure that I'm a believer in rules and structure. I'm an advocate for rules and structure. So not just a believer, an advocate for, an enforcer of. And I am just like currently in my current mindset, I'm currently convinced that time will corrupt any system that's created. I don't know if that's true, but like I was talking about with a friend the other day, for example, coaching industry, horribly unregulated. Okay, I think that's a gift and a curse. So look at real estate industry, way overrated. I'm going to say over. Specifically, not a fan of NAR, not a licensed realtor anymore, so take that. But things like when I first got my license, I put a sign out. I've always went by Greg. It's on my everything. But my birth certificate said Gregory, and I'm getting threatened with fines because I had Greg P's on the sign. Well, go see how many PIHSs you can find. Obviously it was me, but it was like, oh, you're gonna trick people. The truth is, my belief is, I believe when NAR started, we are protecting a consumer. Well, just like the FBI, the CIA, I probably shouldn't say that. All right. Eventually, now, who is governing the governing body? And how does the governing body stay afloat? We need money, fees and fines. So much like in the medical field, oh, you need this test here, it's $700. I already know you can do it, but I need $700. And then now the governing body gets to be the authority to issue the fines to fund their future.
Yep.
And I don't mean their future as individuals, but as the organization. So I'm not talking about I'm not suggesting that anyone's stealing money. But if I'm the one that gets to say the future of the organization, and I'm the one that gets to say the fine, and I'm the one that needs the money to get to the future place, well, then I'll overregulate. So systems become corrupt over time. And so I say that to say, I was talking to a friend about the coaching industry, and I was how can I establish a board or something that would help protect the consumer? There's a lot of every industry, but in coaching industry, there's a lot of bullshit. And I literally so far have come to the conclusion, like, no matter what I start it, eventually I have to leave this earth and it will become corrupt. So like I almost questionably say that like it's a gift that it's unregulated, because now we're not forced to be like that. Headshed eventually is going to have that control over it. That was a long way of saying, that was my soapbox. Let me hop off. Of saying like my belief is people like me and you, like when forgive me on like here, I forgive myself there. When you're going through the things that you believe the nation needs, you're going to be affecting the nation. I really think like people like me and you are the answer for the future of America and civilization. Like, because if we say like, if we were to give like say, hey, the government does this, then it becomes a standardized. I think standardized testing is what ruins schools.
Yes.
Whereas like your program's not going to be Greg's. It's not standardized. And I think that's what's going to change. Go ahead, please.
Is that different from what this nation was actually founded upon? A freedom of choice.
Yeah.
You know, the whole Facebook, Twitter file debacle that we had a few years back is information was being suppressed or deterred or not even pushed out. Then someone makes a purchase of a particular organization, changes the name and symbol of it, and now everyone has a voice again. Well, it's that ability to have a voice, even though you're getting some of the wrong voices, have a place to, they have a microphone now. However, all the other regular people, all the other voices will be able to tamp down that nonsense over time. When it comes to coaching, you know, yes, there are some horrible people in this industry that are out there.
Well, even just say, forgive me for diving in, like this industry. I mean, every single industry. What the truth is there's shitbags that exist, and then they find themselves in certain industries.
Mm-hmm.
They're scam artists, is what they are. But it's not just coaches for everyone. Like attorneys, like next.
Yeah.
Okay, next. But there's that caliber of humans that are like, oh, I'll go in there and pretend. Any industry. But yeah, inside of coaching specifically.
I think that we need that, so then people can say, oh, that's garbage. I definitely don't want something like that. And then they come across a program like yours and they go, I want more of that, which is going to cause you to rise even higher. A horrible, I say a lot. So you've got like, I've got
Yeah. I call myself, I'm like, no, not like, literally.
I almost did it again. I caught it. And again, caught it again.
Good. You're gonna interrupt that pattern right now. Good.
If you can't know the good without the bad. You can't know the sweet without having the bitter. You can't know love without discomfort. You can't figure out what is going to be the best for you without knowing what isn't working for you.
Yeah.
Let it all happen. And we've made it this long as a race, as a civilization, as a people, as a species. I don't think that we made it this far because we didn't have the ability to sniff out bullshit. People have the ability. Stop hovering over them and let them use that massive computer that takes up to 6 inches between their ears and figure it out for themselves and make the best decision for them instead of trying to tell people what's the best decision for them.
Yeah.
So I think that having the ability to have all it out there is only going to make things like yours even better.
I agree. 100% agree. And I think, and again, I think like specifically in the coach and transformation retreat facility, I'm of the belief that is what's going to alter the trajectory of the planet. Yeah.
Especially when I'm looking like locally, and then once I can master local, then I'll take it bigger. But what can I affect right here, right now, that can change what's going on in our area? Well, giving people a sense of pride, a sense of purpose in themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And then they'll be able to take that out and help them make a better decision for tomorrow, which will lead to even more decisions that's going to make them better further down the road in the future.
Not to mention all the people that you, I, and everyone else out there that is a servant for others, all the people that we will serve, there's nothing that I'll do. They already exist this way. You bring 50 people in the room and serve them. Well, a certain number of them, I don't know statistically, are servants, have a servant's heart. Well, they're going to go model. So now not only do we have people making good decisions, but we start that spider web of, you turn 10 out of 50 into servants for others. Mm-hmm. Well, now they put 50 people in a room each, mm-hmm. and the cycle goes on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The butterfly effect.
Yeah.
I don't know how legit it is. I'm not that smart to figure that stuff out. I love the concept though. Like if I can affect one person, and that person goes out and affect one person, and then just continues to go out.
Power one.
Over time, man, your one turns to 2, and that turns to 4, that turns to 8, and you just keep multiplying that number over and over and over again, and then you've got every person.
When you think I've Greg, we're gonna break this too right now. When I think about, sometimes I can allow myself to have hold a thought that says, how many people can you actually impact, or this or that? Sometimes I can allow myself to think that. I watch a lot of, well, I say a lot of, that's not even true. Whenever I watch TV, it's like universe or history stuff and ancient history. So like, I try to go as far back as possible. But you look at all of, Alexander the Great, the Persian army, the Roman army, and these were individuals. I was watching a documentary on the Persian army recently, and it was wild. He made that road and put he made this road. It was like 2,000 miles long, and every 50 miles was a man post. And so roughly 3,000 years ago, he could get a message that would take someone months or years in like 2 days, mm-hmm. Because each post would go halfway, share the message, and then halfway share. So a 2,000-mile span, he had information when people didn't have information, and he was able to impact and influence, millions. It was said that the army was 1 million strong. Mm-hmm. I think back to those times, and that's what allows me to reframe the thought of, well, who am I? Or I'm just one person. I'm like, no, we as people have done this over and over again, and I'm going to make my impact.
Yeah. Yeah. And the thing that took me so long to realize is every single person has a calling. I believe every single person has been put here to do something that only they can do. And I want to make sure that I come into contact with enough people to ensure that they don't go to their graves leaving those things undone.
Let's go. That's good. That's powerful. Corey, I appreciate you being on. Last episode was very powerful. Myself, and I know all the listeners, you allowing yourself to be so vulnerable and to share those deep and heavy parts. And this week was a little bit more fun. We got to hop up on our soapboxes, both of us, a little bit, and share a little bit about our journey. Do you have any final thoughts? And speaking specifically to, I'm going to give you an avatar. A-type personality, male, smiling for everyone, hurting inside, pushing, trying to make it work, not quite sure which way's up. Take a moment, and would you share a message with that avatar?
the biggest thing I could share with them is the thing that took me the longest to understand is you are good enough. You are capable and you are worthy. The strength is within you. Being able to take those things that are keeping us confined in that box, in the pit. For me, it was a pit. That are keeping us confined in that pit are things that we are telling ourselves, and they're a lie. You are not a piece of shit. You are not worthless. Everything that you touch does not go to shit. You have this innate power in you that no one else can touch. There's a light that shines in a way that no other light will shine, and that's your unique light. Take time to say thank you to yourself for making it this far, because it has not been easy. It has not been a road that was easily traveled and without potholes. And some of it you blew up yourself. And that's okay. What have we learned, though? What are the lessons from all of those missteps? Whether it was a misstep that we did or something that was done to us. What are the lessons that we have learned from those events that we can look at today and try to put into our core, our spirit, to help influence the decision we're going to make 15 minutes from now, or the decision we're going to make next week? There is a wealth of knowledge within each and every one of us that we don't realize. That if we just go back into the well and pull up some of those events and actually look at them through a separate lens and see the good in it, you can make a change that you never thought was possible. And I love watching that light bulb moment when people go, I mean, you did that for me. You gave me that moment. I want them to know that they are capable.
Beautiful. I know you have, I don't know if I'm supposed to leak it yet, but too late. I know you're working on publishing your first book soon and podcasts. I know you've been working on a podcast. Do you have a podcast out right now?
It is not out right now.
Okay. All right.
We've got 6 episodes recorded. I need to get those out.
Okay.
I need to get those out because I feel that it can help a lot of people.
It's going to, and it will, as it's supposed to, of course. It will. Do you have a name for the podcast yet?
So I had a name.
Okay.
I had a name, and then I talked to the guy who does your podcast, and he says, you need a better name. And so now I'm like, okay, so that name ain't good enough. I'm going to have to come up with another name. That's an exact quote.
That's an exact quote. That's funny. He's like, you're not actually using that.
You're not going to. That is not it. That is not
No, whatever.
it.
It's fine. You're go ahead. It's okay.
No, you should. You should. And I'm like, I don't think I should now.
That's
I don't think
good.
I should. So now he and I are going to be getting together to come up with what he feels is going to be the appropriate name for this podcast.
Is it Trent's in the background like, no, it's not what happened.
No, in all seriousness, he gave me suggestions, and I took those suggestions and went and thought on them for a couple of days, and I said, shit, he's right. Because my thought is if I just go with the Corey Brown podcast or the Corey Brown show, then that whole thing can be whatever I want it to be. I can talk to whomever about whatever.
Yeah.
However, as he pointed out, as people were scrolling through various podcasts, what's going to pull them into that?
Yeah.
To have something a little more descriptive on what we're doing, And what we're doing is sharing stories of regular people who've gone through the shit and
Let's
what
go.
they have learned from it.
Let's
so
go.
that other regular people can pick up some tools and tricks, and hopefully that can help them through whatever they're dealing with.
Are you seeking guests for your podcast?
Yes.
Okay, let's go.
Yes.
So people listening that want to be a guest, how should they link up with you?
Man, find me on social.
Okay.
That's going to be the easiest way. Corey Brown Actual.
Corey Brown
On
Actual,
everything.
and then you're on all the platforms. Good, and then they'll just send you a little DM.
Yeah, send me a DM. Let's get together. We'll talk it through, and if it makes sense for the both of us, let's sit down and record something.
Yeah.
See how we can impact the world.
Let's go. I love it. All right, everyone. I appreciate you guys listening in. We went a little bit longer than usual today because we had such a great vibe going and content. I look forward to seeing you guys on the next episode.
If this hit you deep, trust that.
Your pain has power, and your story isn't over.
Follow, share, and send this to someone who you think might benefit.
I'm Greg, and this was The Power in the Pain. Keep stepping into your power.